Hey everybody, this is me, the Undead Viking, and this is Treasure Mountain. Treasure Mountain is a game for 2 to 4 players. Each player will control a dwarven clan, and they'll be using that dwarven clan to do lots of things, including like tunneling deep into their Treasure Mountain, trying to extract gems. They'll be using those gems to score victory points and selling them at a marketplace to earn gold. Obviously, dwarves love gold. You'll also be collecting beer. Obviously, dwarves love beer. Along the way, you're hopefully not going to disturb the dragons that live inside the mountain. Well, maybe you are going to want to disturb the dragons, because if you can succeed at defeating the dragons, you can get extra victory points by doing so. And also, the players that don't defeat the dragons will actually suffer setbacks and things like that. You can kind of force other players to have some bad luck. You will forge mighty axes that you will use in those battles against those dragons. And along the way, you'll also be doing like some cool little aspects as far as like, you know, with some turn order things going on and some timing things that are happening. And also there's a bunch of achievements that you can gain for like extra victory points as well. So after the game is over, you will total up your total victory points. You'll get a bunch of bonuses, and you get a lot of bonuses for gold. We'll talk about that in just a little bit. Obviously dwarves love gold, right? But you will then figure out who has the most points, and they are the one who is going to win the game of Treasure Mountain. This is a fantastic game. It combines a lot of like different mechanisms that I really, really enjoy. It has, you know, worker placement, something that I always seem to find in games that I like. It has some tile laying. You'll actually be using these tiles to construct your mine, and and be able to like come up with a cool little base that your dwarves are. No, the tunnels that you dig, they don't connect with the other players. It's just going to be your own little spot. But it still is really cool. I like games that allow me to build things, you know, and try to do things. You know, and so like at the end of the game, you can kind of look and see what you created and go, this is kind of cool. I created this. So it has that going on. And plus it just has some of those classic things as far as like, you know, converting different resources into other resources so you can use them for different purposes and things like that. And has lots of moments and lots of things that you can do to make you feel clever when you pull those off. Plus there's a really cool twist with the worker placement that I really, really enjoyed, and I'll talk about that when I show you how to play. So why don't I show you how to play, and so I can talk about that and a whole lot more. Alright, so this is Treasure Mountain, and I know a lot of people, and I definitely when I presented this to my gaming group and showed the game, the first reaction is, whoa, there's a lot of stuff going on here, but don't worry about it. This is one of those great games that has been really well made, that, you know, interlocks all the different actions and the different mechanisms of the game really, really well. And so once you played like just a little bit of a game, a little bit of a turn, it starts clicking together really well. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to talk about what you're seeing in front of you, and then I'm going to kind of dive deeper into the different actions and what's going on. Probably the coolest thing I love about this game is that you have workers, yes, and I have a 4-player game, so we each have 3 workers. If you had a 2-player game, you'd have 5. If you had a 3-player game, you'd have 4. But regardless, I have a 4-player game, so we have 3 workers. Each one of these workers has a number on them and has a bed with their number on it. So you can see there, here, this is worker number 3, and so he's on bed number 3. Now, the number that is on them, the higher the number it is, the longer the dwarf's beard and the more seniority he has. And speaking as a bearded gentleman, I can think of no better attribute than to assign seniority and importance than the length of a beard. But regardless, the situation you have is that these workers will go to these locations. There's these locations like here that are white with the black silhouette here, and then there are these spots here that are red with the white silhouette. So I'm not going to worry about these right now, because those are going to be for determining turn order, and it's an action that we'll be talking about here in a little bit. But I'm going to talk about these spots that you see here in all these different locations. The really, really cool thing I love about this game is that if you have a worker in a location like so, Like, let's say this guy went to go work at this tunnel, and he took that action. And I'll talk about the actions more in depth. I'll talk about all of them here in just a little bit. So just bear with me. But if another dwarf with a higher action number, a higher seniority number, can go and he can knock them off. Now, that doesn't mean they don't get to take that action, because you take the action as soon as you go to that spot. But that dwarf will go ahead and knock that person off that spot, and then they'll be, jettisoned back over into their bed. And then if another dwarf comes along with a higher number, like so, they'll do the exact same thing. And so a spot can be used multiple times, but once there is a dwarf with the highest possible number, two dwarves with equal seniority, you can't knock each other off via that route. Now, there's a couple of things about this that must be mentioned. That you can't use your number 3 dwarf right away. You can't just go and put them up there. You've got to use your earlier numbered dwarves first. But I should say when, because your dwarves are going to get knocked off their perch. When they go and get knocked back, you get to use them again. But once again, so let's just say yellow had used that one there and that one there, and then red came up and knocked off this one and went back to here. You wouldn't be able to use the number 3. You'd have to use your number 1 again. Pretty straightforward, but it really opens up a lot of avenues as far as how you can block people, how you can kind of force people to use like their higher number dwarf in spots that maybe they don't want to. Things like that I really think the game adds a lot to what normally would be kind of standard worker placement. Something that I really, really enjoy, and it adds a lot to a game that would already be cool regardless, but just this added part really opened up the game for me a lot, and I was really excited every time I played it. But, alright, so that is that. I wanted to make sure you understood how that works. Alright, so let's talk about the different spots on the board that you might be looking at. So up here, you have, these are going to be a lot of your actions that are going to be creating resources. So starting over here, you have a forge. And every single spot, they have a spot like that, and then it tells you what you have to spend. So in this case, it is a beer barrel, which are these guys right here, or a gem. And when you see a gem that is like that, it means any color gem. So you might run into things that will specifically say you need to get an emerald or a ruby. But whenever you see one of these that is just the multicolored, multifaceted gem, you can choose any gem you like. When you do that, what happens is that when you take that action, this bag has within it these axes. And these axes, and I'll show you these axes will either have a +1 or a +2 on the either side of this. Now, about 3/4 of them are +1 and 1/4 of them are +2. You use axes for when the dragon attacks. Now, I'll talk about the dragon here in just a little bit once we kind of finagle our way down there. But just keep in mind that is an action that allows you to get axes that will help you protect your gold and your gems from the dragon that is going to come and attack the dwarves in general. Alright, so the next section you have is excavation. And now this thing over here says 3 times. That means you can do the excavation action 3 times. Now, excavation is done to put gems into your mine. Basically, it's your miner goes to goes into your mine. And mind you, you're going to be building a big mine. Everybody starts with one of these like 2 spots right here that will start with certain gems and matching the player color. So yellow has these yellow diamonds kind of thing. But anyway, so when you excavate, and I'll just take these off so you can kind of see how it works here. So when you excavate, what happens is that you'll pick a tile number, and then you will add the number of gems that are located on there. So this case it says 3, you would add 3 gems onto it, like so. However, because you excavated it, you would go ahead and place one of these dirt cubes on it as well. Basically, meaning you're getting dirt along with your along with the gems that you're prying off the wall. Now, you don't have to pick the same tile. You can pick any 3 tiles when you want to do this, but we'll just bear with it. So if you did another excavate action, and mind you, each time you do an excavate action, you have to go ahead and pay one barrel or one beer barrel or one gold coin to do it. So just keep that in mind. But so the next time you do it, you count how many dirt you have, and so you're going to get 3, but then you're going to get -1, so you're only going to get 2 gems the next time. All right, so it's always going to be 3 gems. So you might notice this one says 4 gems over there. So just keep in mind it's always going to be 3 gems. So you know, just but then so if you did it again, and then you of course you add another dirt clod on there like so. And if you did it again on that one, you would be able to add 1 gem, and then you'd add another dirt clod. And now because there is 3 dirt piles on there, you have mined that particular section of that that spot, and you aren't going to be able to get any more out of there. But I do like that. I think that's kind of cool how, like, as you're it's a really good mechanism as far as to show that you're, like, you've tapped the vein, if you will, and you can't get any more gems out of there. All right. So, how do you get the gems out of your mine that you've done? So that is where this mine action comes in. So when you do a mine action, and I want to mention that when you see this little thing up here with these little, like, all 4 of the player colors, and there's a little bonus there, I'll talk about that in just a little bit. But with the mine action, what that does is it allows you, you're going to go ahead and you're going to pick like one type of gem that you want. So like if you say, I want to get these, you're going to go ahead and be able to take 1 diamond from each spot. Now, obviously, once again, remember, you're going to be building these out, and there's going to be more gems, and you got to, like, excavate, get those gems to appear, and then you're going to be, like, you know, just populating them with gems. But when if you have 2 locations that are connected of the same gem, you get a bonus gem for that. Now, you only get that bonus once. If you, like, this mine was bigger and you had another 2 diamond gems next to each other, you wouldn't get the bonus twice. You only get it once. If you have 3, and I'll dig through here and maybe I'll find one that has, so like if you had 3, like so, or here, let's put that guy right there. If you had 3 and you had together, you can get the bonus of 2 gems, for that. And, so just, that's one of those things where you have a, like you only do it once again. If you have 2 spots in there with 3 connected, you can only do that just the one time with the bonus. I should also mention that any bonus gems have to come from the tiles themselves. You can't, like, if you had other, like, diamond gems over here, like another diamond mine over here that had a few diamonds in it, and you got the bonus has to come from the spot where you were getting the bonus. So you just keep that in mind when you're handling the mining action. All right, so I mentioned this little thing up here as far as that is this little, like, spot with 4 different, you might not be able to see it, but you can see it here, you can see it here, and so forth. These little 4 colors means that the person who takes the action, and you see it has those 2 gems there, they can take 2 gems of any color from the supply as a bonus. But after they do that action, every other player gets to do a mine action. They don't get the bonus, but they do get to take a mine action. So that's kind of a cool thing as well, where it's like, I really want to take this action, but I'm going to be giving everybody the ability to do it as well. But keep in mind, you do get that bonus, which is kind of the way to, like, get you to want to do it, right? All right, cool. So next thing, let's move down here to gem markets. Gem markets are just what you think. You're going to be selling gems. Depending upon the type, whether it's sapphires, rubies, diamonds, or emeralds, what you're going to do is you're going to take this action, and once again, this is an all-play spot, so you're going to get a bonus of 2 coins if you're the first person to take that action. You're going to take, and you're going to pick one of these cards, and you're going to sell 3 emeralds, and so forth. Now, these are all the starting cards, so, they're all going to be kind of the same. But as you get more market cards available, things will change, where it's like, only 2 gems for, like, 2 coins, or sell 6 gems for 4 coins, things like that. So they are going to change up. Now, as you probably might have guessed, you can kind of see there's these little arrows here. If you, say, sell diamonds, let's say you can move this off like that, you are going to slide that one down, and then you're going to replace that card with one from the top, like so. And so that would take the spot. Now, you might have noticed these little coins underneath there as well. At the end of the round, any card that is in these spots that, you know, that is sitting there, you're going to take and you're going to populate these with gold coins. Sorry, should have put that right there. You populate these with a coin on each spot. Basically, and so when players sell, they're going to get a bonus for that. And those will continue to pile up as the game progresses. So, you know, just eventually, like, tiles that normally people wouldn't want to sell to, they're going to be worth a lot of coins, and they're going to do it because they're going to get a bonus from that. I do like that. I always like those things where it's like they entice you to take certain actions, and eventually it's worth it for you to do it. Alright, so moving over here, the trading post, pretty standard. You're going to go take that spot, and you get to take 2 of these actions. You can spend a gold coin to get a barrel, spend a gold coin to get an axe, a gold coin for any 2 gems, or trade any 2 gems for a gold coin. And you can do 2 of those actions. You know, it's one of those standard things where it's like, hey, I really need this to be able to do this. So that's kind of a catch-all place to go. So over here, this is the temple. You pay 2 coins, and you just get 5 victory points. That's cool, but as long as you are the dwarf that's there, notice how you can get knocked out of there, when it comes time to fight the dragon, you're going to roll a die, and that allows you to re-roll your die if you don't think you rolled well enough to defeat the dragon. You know, you do get 1 re-roll, and you have to accept the second roll, but, you know, if you roll a 1, you're going to re-roll, obviously, right? Alright, so the Dwarf King. Dwarf King is an all-place spot. First person who goes there is going to get 2 bonus victory points for doing it. When you do this, you get to take an achievement, depending upon something that you have. Whether it is you've got 2 axes, you can get 3 victory points. If you have a dragon tile, you get 3 victory points. 9 gems, 3 victory points, so on and so forth. You're going to take one of those cards, and then you're going to slide the rest down and replace them from the top of the deck. These will change as, you know, and these are once again the starter cards, so like later on you'll have things that are very definitive, like this one, you know, 4 of that, 4 of that, you know, have 6 of these. Now, it's important to note that you don't return these resources. You just say, hey, look, I've got 9 gems, I get 3 victory points, and you put yourself up on the victory point track to do so. Alright, moving on to tunneling. Tunneling is, once again, an all-place spot. First person to go here is going to get 2 beer barrels. And then everybody else gets to do it as well. The tunneling, you're just going to choose one of these tiles that is available here. So you have, and some of the tiles will be just like this with gems. If you buy one of these, and notice there is a price, so this is 2 barrels and 2 gold, a barrel, 2 gold, a barrel and a gold, or a barrel or a gold. So this one's the cheapest. Once you buy one of these, you have to place it legally on the board like so it actually fits onto your spot. And then you immediately seed it with the gems that are on that particular spot. So you're going to go ahead and you place 3 rubies on that one because it has a red ruby. Now, and then once you do that, you take the next, you can grab it from any one of these stacks. You just set these stacks up in the random and you make them evenly tall, if you will, and you just grab one and place it over so you have another stack available. Some of these will be actually like different rooms that you can add. Like this is the temple room. What the temple does in this case is that when you take the temple location over there, you can, instead of spending 2 gold to get 5 coins, you can spend 4 gems and get 6 victory points. So it's just added in like a different room that you have, and that's something you get as the player. So there's more of those, and if you want to look into those, I encourage you to go ahead and read the rules so you can kind of dig into that a little bit. Alright, so finally we get over here to the dragon spot. And this is a very important aspect of the game because these actions will possibly anger the dragon. And the dragon will attack. You can notice that because they have this little dragon marker on those. Alright, so like these are pretty straightforward. Supply wagon, get 2 barrels. The scout, you get an axe out of the bag. And then you get to peek at the top dragon tile to see what kind of dragon is going to attack. Over here, you can go ahead to the treasure hoard. You just get 2 gold coins for taking that one. Tribute is interesting because it actually allows the player twice to remove any of the face-up tiles that are over here The achievements are over here, or the market cards that are over there. If you get rid of a market card that has a gold coin on it, that gold coin is also destroyed as well and returned to the supply. You do that basically because maybe there's an achievement out there somebody's gunning for, you can't get, and you don't want them to get the victory points. Maybe you don't have really good options as far as the different tiles that are available, things like that. But you can do that. All right. So regardless, after you do that action, what you will do is you will roll a die. And when you roll the die, you see if you get a 3 or higher. So in this case, you didn't anger the dragon. But anytime you get a 3 or better, you're going to, move this dragon up the chart. And once the dragon hits that location, you're going to take this and you're going to turn it over, and this is the dragon that you're going to fight. So this is Barag, the Strident, and he has a strength of 6. So what will happen, but before you actually reveal that, is that each person will roll a die, and they will choose to use axes if they want to. Now, it's quite likely that somebody has used the scout action before the dragon attacks, and they're going to pick, they're going to roll a die, and they're going to pick how many of those axe tokens to use. Now, so they know what they need to do to defeat the dragon. So that's something you can maybe plan on, kind of read into what you can't see what the numbers on their axe tokens, but you can see the number. But regardless, you have to meet or exceed the number. Once you flip it over, in this case, you'd have to meet or exceed the 6. If you meet or exceed that, you don't have to worry. Barag the Strident will not doesn't destroy you. If you don't, you will lose half of what so if you have 6 gold coins, you would lose half of those 3 to Barag, because he takes that gold from you. If you have, and that's rounded up, so if you had 7, you'd lose 4. And this is gold or gems that they will take, and you have to return those to the supply. Now, whoever did the best job of defeating it, meaning the highest strength value, the die roll plus whatever axes they use, they will get to claim this tile and get the victory points for the tile. So you get 8 victory points in this case for defeating Barag the Strident in that situation. So if there is 2 people that meet as far as equal strength that defeat him, then you will go by turn order. So if red had a strength of 8 and 1 and green had a strength of 8 and 1, they would both the red would win because they're ahead of them in the turn order. Turn order trumps all, right? If you lose, so let's say blue didn't defeat him, you take the highest number dwarf they have and you place them in this gulag over here. You don't get that back until this turns over. So it's very devastating, and because this happens in the middle of a turn usually, and no matter where that dwarf is, he's going to go to that spot, and basically you lose a worker, and that stinks. It stinks out loud. In a worker placement game, you never want to lose your workers. All right, so that is the dragons. So the final thing is the turn order. You'll notice the turn order has the red background, meaning that you cannot knock those people off. So sometimes this is, you have to kind of pick and choose when you're going to do this if you want to do turn order. So the first place, you're just going to get first place. Second place, you get a barrel, then a gold, and then you have here the 2 gems. Now, here's how this works. So when you place your worker on that spot, and not everybody's going to go here, obviously, because they want to do other things. When you go here on a location, let's say we ended up like this. This is how. This does not mean they're taking the second turn. That doesn't mean that. What it means is that as long as nobody else chooses the one above it, they are going to become the first player the next turn. So we go like this, and they would take over that, and then this, because nobody else took another one, they would move up to second place. But these 2 would remain the same. Basically what it means is that if you only one person went there, and they even took the last spot there, what would happen then is that blue would end up going first, but everybody else would remain in the same order that they have. you have to take one of these to push yourself further up in the turn order. But, you know, as long as if you're the first player, it might take a round or two before you're actually kind of shunted down, depending upon how vociferously these particular spots are taken. Turn order, obviously, can be very, very important because, as I said before, turn order does trump all. And the fact of the matter is that, you know, you want to be able to, you know, get your workers out there doing things and getting them knocked around, knocked back, so you can do and take those actions again. So it's always a good idea to, you know, to be first player, just because your options are better. All right, so once you finish off all the turns, I should mention, at the end of every turn, you do a cleanup phase. Obviously, you reset the turn order. You put everybody's workers back to where they are. You notice these little red spots here. You're going to discard those and move everything down one. So, like, you are going to lose achievements. You are going to lose a tunnel piece, and those are going to discard. Now, if you ever run out of any of the cards or the tunnels, you do just shuffle them up and put the discards back out there. So you're always going to have some. And as I said before, you do put a gold coin on each of those cards that is on that gold coin. Then you just start it up again and take your actions again. Once the game is all over, you will total up your victory points that you scored throughout the game. You get bonus points for depending upon how well you do. So for mine tiles, depending upon the number of mine tiles you have of different types, so you total them up for both rubies and then sapphires and emeralds and diamonds and the other, like, these tiles, whatever, that have the different chambers and stuff. For every, like, so 3 to 4 of like rubies or sapphires or whatever with 5 points, 5 or 6, and so on and so forth. You total up those bonus points like so. You earn 2 victory points for every gold you get. Gold is king in this game. So, you know, trying to get, like, I mean, a lot of people say, well, it's like, oh, you know, it's like, why would I want to get barrels? You know, because barrels can be used for a lot of different things as far as, like, different resources to purchase things. And, you know, every time you spend gold, you're basically throwing 2 victory points away. So just keep that in mind as you do that. And then for every mine gem that you have, they're going to be worth 1 victory point as well. And then for every 2 gems that are still in your mine, you're going to get 1 victory point as well. Total up those points, and whoever has the most will be the winner of the treasure hoard. This game is fantastic. It's fun to look at. It's fun to play. It is challenging. Everybody's engaged because of the fact that you're ping-ponging your workers this way and that. This was one of those games where I didn't know what I was going to have going into it. Once I opened up the box, I said, this looks awesome. Once I played it, I said, this is awesome, and I couldn't have been happier with it. So, yeah. But let me talk all about that and more in my final thoughts. Jeez, that's Treasure Mountain. Okay, so Treasure Mountain, as I said, the game's great. I mean, it's just super, super cool. I mean, all the aspects about it are just the things that I really, really enjoy. I mentioned in the introduction, it has moments where it makes you feel clever. There's nothing more cool in a game that makes you feel smart, and there's a couple of different ways games can do that. They can make you wait until the very end and you can see how well you did, and you can say, oh, I did pretty good there, and you feel smart. Or they can have like kind of instant like reward moments that games like this have, where like you have like the perfect spot where you can go ahead and place your like highest number dwarf to kick somebody else out of that spot, and then like kind of like lock it down so nobody else can go into that area. You can, like, when somebody kicks your dwarf out because they've done exactly that, you then get to like maybe go and place it into like, you know, the taverns, and so you can be the first player next turn. You have like things where like you need certain tiles, like, you know, certain tiles of certain gems to like, you know, create like a perfect pattern, or like to combine the different gems, like as far as getting rubies next to each other so you can get that bonus. So there's all kinds of little things like that where you get little perks, you get little bonuses, where, like I said, you feel clever, you feel like you're doing something. There's so many games out there now that there's like this like rolling nonsense, if you will, where it doesn't feel like you're really accomplishing anything. You're just kind of running on a treadmill and you're done. How'd I do? But with a game like this, every single turn you feel like you're pulling something off. It feels like you're building on something. It feels like you're creating. And it is really cool that, like, as I said, gold is king. Gold is like the thing you want to go for. And so because each gold coin is going to be worth 2 points at the end of the game, I love games that make me spend my victory points. Do I want to spend this victory point here? You like throw 2 victory points away in the hopes that that investment is going to pay off later, and that those 2 victory points are going to turn into 6, they're going to turn 8, they're going to turn into 10. And it's those kind of weird like gambling moments that I really, really enjoy. There's too many worker placement games, in my opinion, that don't have a lot of player interaction either. And this game has a ton. A lot of times, I've always said this about certain worker placement, it's like, oh, okay, well, you blocked that spot that I really wanted. But, usually you don't do that on purpose. Nobody ever goes to a spot and says, I'm going to take that. I'm going to go here and take these stone cubes because I don't want you to have them. No, you don't do that. You'd only do that if you wanted the stone cubes. Blocking that other person is just something, as a happy accident in that moment. But here's a game that, like, you can't really block the spot unless you're using your top number dwarf. And remember, you can't use your top number dwarf until you've used up all your other dwarves. And so the whole point is that you kind of have this like staggered approach to as you are placing and taking certain dwarves and knocking other dwarves aside. And so where you put that top number dwarf is a very, very powerful thing. At that moment, you're saying, bam, now nobody can use this. Now, obviously, in other worker placement games that exists, obviously, because, hey, I took this spot, you can't use it anymore. But this is a game where, like, you kind of almost are counting on the fact that, like, you can maybe, like, get back into certain spots at a later time because of the fact that it hasn't been locked down yet. And so when it finally does get locked down and removed from that turn from everybody else, it's kind of a big deal, right? So I really enjoy that. I also enjoy the whole process of the dragon attacks kind of thing. I can only imagine, like, the first few times, I'm guessing, I have no idea, that, like, when this game was first created, like, maybe just going to those spots just increase the dragon track regardless. Now, having the die roll is actually kind of a neat. It adds a moment of, like, intensity to everybody, like, oh, please don't roll a 3 or above, and like those other players say, oh, please roll a 3 or above, because some of you are going to be prepared and ready for that dragon that's coming and other are not, and you're like, I just need one more turn, I can get an axe, I'll be fine, come on, just give me one more turn, stuff like that. I like that dragon area of the board, and there definitely is games that I play to this where people are like purposely, let's get the dragon moving, because they've gone with like kind of an axe heavy strategy. They've got the church so they can do a reroll. They're prepared, they're ready to do it. And so when you are up against it and you haven't been doing that can be a very tough thing. And so, like, I like stuff like that. I like intensity, I like tension in games. Obviously, the bottom line is the thing that, as I said in How to Play the Game, the thing that really stands out for me, the thing that I really get excited about as far as playing this, is the whole, like, prospect of the fact that you have, like, dwarves of different stature, and how those dwarves can kick other dwarves out of spots and make room, for other people. And I really like that. And also I should mention, the thing about the dragon, it really reminds me of Kingsburg. If you haven't played Kingsburg, like, they have a threat that is coming and it's going to attack, and you're kind of getting prepared for that. And I liked that in Kingsburg, and I like it here as well. I don't know if the designer, like, is an homage or whatever, but I mean, it's a definitely cool re-implementation of that, like, impending threat that you have to prepare for. I like that as well. So, just who's going to like this game? You're going to like this game if you like worker placement, period. It's just, it's that good. If you like tile laying mixed in with your worker placement, you're probably going to like this as well. I forgot one thing. When you actually are playing the tiles and putting them down, you can't block your tile off. You have to be able to connect all the connections. So it's something to think about as you're creating your tunnel. Like, certain pieces won't match up well. So that's another reason why you'd use that spot that allows you to discard certain tiles, because certain tiles just can't be used, so you can use that spot to discard some of those tiles and hopefully get some other ones that you can actually use. So that's one of those reasons that you do it. I mean, it's pretty intuitive that obviously you can't, like, put two tiles against each other that don't match. You couldn't put those two like that because there's like a tunnel here and there's none right there. But I just wanted to make sure you did realize that if you're wondering about that rule. I mean, the game is just great. It's one of the best games I've played so far this year. It definitely did, like, kind of reopen my eyes to the whole, like, middleweight Euro, worker placement type thing, and it was a breath of fresh air, honestly, as far as like I'd been playing some redundant games lately, and I got to play this one, and I was just like, this is fun, this is cool, this is good, I want to play this again and again. So there you go. That is Treasure Mountain. If you have any questions about it, please ask away. I'll be happy to answer those as best as I can. As always, thank you very much for taking the time to watch this video, and until next time, I am the Undead Viking, and I'm telling you to have yourself one heck of an awesome day. Alright, bye-bye.